Hi, everyone. Welcome to this vendor-sponsored webinar by Capti Voice. This is Kim Richards. I am the Executive Administrative Assistant for AHEAD, and we're happy that everyone could join us today. Just a few housekeeping items. We will be using the Q&A for your questions, and Brian is here to assist us with that, and he'll be answering questions pretty much as they appear. Feel free at the end of the presentation to post questions as well. If you're having any kind of technical difficulties, please post your issues in the chat. Otherwise, again, please post all questions in the Q&A. If it is easier for you to verbally ask your question, please raise your hand and I have the ability to unmute you so you can ask your question. So without further ado, I am going to turn things over to Jean. Jean.
Thank you, Kim. Hello and welcome to our webinar on best practices for testing accommodations and proctoring in remote and hybrid settings. Thank you for taking time off from your busy work. So we're going to get started right away. So a few more housekeeping items. So we'll use Q&A for more than just Q&A, more just questions. Please post any comments or feedback. Share your ideas with us throughout the webinar. We'll be monitoring Q&A. Also, we have a special offer and a raffle if you stick around till the end. And finally, if you have to leave early, we will record this. And if you send an email to info@captivoice.com, we will send you the slides deck. We'll send you the video, and we hope you'll stick to the end. All right, so today we'll start with introducing some of the best practices for testing accommodations. Then we have a guest from Gettysburg College, Jean Cole, who will tell about how she's using Capti to accommodate her students there. And then I'll show you what's new in Capti and how you can effectively accommodate and administer and proctor exams in Capti. And finally, we'll have closing remarks, special offer, raffle, and we'll leave probably half an hour to Q&A. All right, so 2020, what a year. It's a real comet, fastball. Actually, if I look sideways, it reads as no, no, no. We already knew that 40 to 80% of students who are studying online were dropping out, and it's getting much worse with COVID, now that many students are remote and studying online. A recent survey found that 1 in 3 students reported that online instruction has made learning worse. And because of that, a lot of them are considering taking a gap year. Every 1 in 4 students is likely to delay graduation. Many have taken fall off, and even more are considering to take spring semester off as well. So that brings us to accommodating students with disabilities who, as you well know, are disproportionately affected by shutdowns and who even more likely delay their graduation or even drop out because they just can't do it online. We recognize that you too have had a very difficult year and would love to hear from you what your biggest challenges have been. Are there any new challenges that came about as a result of COVID? Please post your answers in the Q&A. We find that these are the typical categories of responsibilities that you have: providing accessible content, accommodating students in classes, supporting online learning tools and LMS, and of course, now more than ever, accommodating students during exams. We're in December. And each one of these is a real can of worms when it comes to online learning. Okay, I'm trying to open Q&A, but it's not opening. And Brian is answering questions offline. So some schools, and we're going to talk about best practice. Some schools are using tools for automated proctoring, like Respondus Monitor, for example. It's using computer camera to automatically track where students are looking and alert instructors of any suspicious activities. Such tools work until they don't. Students who use large screen monitors that, let's say, they have vision impairment, will be turning their heads left and right. Some students have skewed eyes. And students with disabilities are likely to fidget, stand up, and that really trips these tools. There are also live proctoring services such as ProctorU, which can be used like Respondus Monitor, but also can offer continuous live monitoring and active proctor interventions if you can afford it. And the cheapest solution, of course, is Zoom or Google Meet, some kind of video conferencing. And also, using screen sharing as well. And Zoom actually supports simultaneous meetings so that students cannot see each other, but you can see them all. It's like a security guard screen. Some schools are resorting to just not doing any proctoring because, for example, they have an honor code and making all of the exams open book to eliminate proctoring, make things easier for everybody. Communication is perhaps the most important things when it comes to proctoring. You need to make sure that you take the time with professors to explain to them, to make sure they know what they're doing, explain to them what extra time means when they give it to students, that they can't just give all students extra time. You need to proactively communicate with students. Most importantly, walk them through the process of taking the exam. Do they have private space with minimal distractions? Perhaps they can go outside to a library. Do they have reliable internet connection? You may also want to talk through the accommodations that students need. What were they using in high school? Do they need magnification, special keyboard, text-to-speech? Do they need a scribe or a reader? So go through the process of elimination, and you can get students, you can give them ideas on how they can accommodate themselves. And if you make them think through it, they can usually create their own environment for testing that suits their needs. And in the end, you're likely to still use a lot of different tools to administer an exam. First, you need to schedule an exam, then keep track of where it is. If you want to restrict students, you may want to use lockdown browser that doesn't allow students to access any other website during test. You're likely to need assistive technology to provide modifications such as text-to-speech, dictionary. We already talked about remote proctoring options, and there are many options for delivering tests. If professors prepare them in PDF, they may agree to upload them into AIM or do file sharing, Google Drive, Box, Dropbox, and more often you will get a flurry of emails. In some cases, when students need the test on paper, you may need to scan them in as well. And of course, professors could just use tests in LMS or in any other platform. And the challenge, of course, is to make sure these platforms are accessible. Alas, no one tool can provide a complete solution to all of these tasks, but the Capti Accommodate platform that we developed is an all-in-one solution addressing many of these issues. It helps DSS centers seamlessly deliver accessible content to students, empower students to make anything accessible by themselves, and provide accommodations during assignments and tests. And today with us, we have Jennifer Cole, an Associate Dean of Academic Advising and Student Support Services, Gettysburg College. Hi, Jen.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I've been working at Gettysburg College for almost 13 years. We are a private college with around 2,600 students, and about 10% of our students has some sort of accommodation. We have been using Capti for several years now. We provide primarily reading accommodations to students using Capti. Our population of students with disabilities primarily is students with learning disabilities. So we didn't need a solution that was a full screen reader. We only needed something that was designed for students who needed reading accommodations. What we liked about Capti to begin with was that it was web-based. So we didn't have to worry about students downloading software that took up a lot of room on their personal machines or providing some sort of computer to students. And if anything happened to students' laptops and they needed to use a loaner machine from the college, which happens to some of our students every semester, we knew that they could access this software anywhere on any computer. That worked out beautifully for us when we had to pivot to 100% remote learning in the spring. We had no online courses prior to March of 2020, and now we do a lot of things online. But the benefit to having Capti in place at that point in time was that there was no disruption or change in how we provided the reading accommodations to students when we made that change. using Zoom, we were still able to troubleshoot with students to help them get it set up. They were able to use it seamlessly, and the file sharing that we needed to do happened in the same ways that it had happened in the past. So we also really liked how simple it is to use. The controls are very basic, they're intuitive, and the sharing documents, which we use frequently, is very easy. Students also are really interested in the app that they can use in addition to the web-based version that they use on their machines. And I've personally found the client support through Capti to be really phenomenal for any issues that we've had. Now, some of our students who have accommodations for reading also use text-to-speech accommodations for testing. And since we had Capti in place for the reading accommodations to begin with, it was very easy for us to use Capti for testing accommodations as well. I want to share a few details about what made this uniquely easy for us at Gettysburg College. The first thing is that we have an academic honor code. And so that means that many of the concerns that faculty have about cheating on tests are mitigated by the trust that our honor code encourages. That's a big one. Second, we don't have a testing center. Our testing accommodations are implemented by individual faculty with support from my office, but it's done in a decentralized way. The third thing is that we only have a handful of students each semester who require reading accommodations for exams. So we were doing this on a very small scale. We didn't need to do this in a big way. So with that context in mind, I'd like to share with you how we use Capti for providing exam accommodations. And I will preface this by saying the way that we use it at Gettysburg College is probably one of the most analog ways that you can use Capti. We are not at a point right now where we need to use a lot of bells and whistles. So let me share my screen and walk you through this. All right, so this is the Capti interface that I log into. And when we need to share an exam with a student, this is something that we really lean on the professors to give us some guidance about what they're comfortable with. Some professors are comfortable uploading documents on their own. Some prefer that we upload the exams for them. So we trust in what they tell us they need, and we work with them in that way. So in order to upload an exam, all I do is go to collections. I would create a new shared playlist. I would call this exam 2. I would create it. I would upload a file, and Capti uses any kind of file. Really, there are a lot of different types of files that you can upload. I'm sorry, I already created that playlist. So here's my exam 2 playlist. I upload a track. I love that I can upload from all of these different things. I know that our students love that they can upload from Dropbox and Google Drive. But any kind of file that's a document that's regularly used is perfectly easy to upload. So this is a PDF that I'm uploading. It uploads relatively quickly if it's a small file. It's uploading now. I tend to walk a lot of students through this process when we're together, either virtually or in person, so that they know exactly what to do. And they really appreciate being able to see how to do things. And that's where virtually being able to do these things is especially helpful. So once the exam is uploaded, all the students have to do is click on a question that they want to read and press play.
The first upward swing in global population was due to what? A. Diffusion of agriculture. B. Demographic transition. C. Societal transition. D. Economic transition. 5.
So the controls are very easy. Stop and go. Students can change the speed if they need to. I think that a lot of our students, when it comes to reading during exams, they find it really helpful, especially for longer questions. So for example, these essay questions here, it's very helpful for students to be able to hear the instructions, to hear the prompt for an essay
Discuss
question.
the intellectual and practical debate over the Malthusian perspective regarding population and resources.
I have found the students, it's a mechanical voice, of course, but the students are really pretty happy with it, and they're happy with the choices and voices that they have, which are pretty vast. There are a ton of different choices that you can choose from for voices. So I try to demonstrate that when I'm talking with students as well. So to date, we only use Capti for exam reading. I know that there are some additional capabilities, but we don't use it that way. We have so much variability in how faculty deliver assessments. So far that's met our needs. The students will use Capti to read the exam, and then they provide their answers on paper or in a separate document. This has been a really simple solution that's worked well for us. Our students really like using it for their reading accommodations. So the students who use it for exams are happy then to be able to use a technology that they're already comfortable with, that they're already familiar with, especially when they're stressed out during exams. They don't have to worry about using something new just for exams. Our faculty do get a little nervous anytime they're presented with accommodations that are outside of the norm. They're very comfortable with extended time for testing or a separate location, but this makes them a little bit nervous. So they have been really happy to see how easy Capti is to use. They are relieved by that. They're appreciative of the fact that it's web-based, because that means they don't have to scramble to arrange a separate computer for students to use, or a location with a private computer or anything like that. Of course, they have concerns about all of the different ways that students can access unauthorized materials or cheat during exams, especially when they're using the same technology that they use for course reading materials. And we are fortunate that our honor code helps to preemptively address some of those issues for sure. So let's pause for a second here, because I'd like to allow you to ask me some questions. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to know about my experience with Capti or with using Capti for accommodations? How well does it read math and engineering materials is one of the questions that's come up. And I think that Jean is actually going to address that with one of the capabilities that is yet to come for Capti. And I believe that Jean is also going to answer the question about whether they can write in Capti. Like I said, that's not one of the capabilities that we use right now, but I do know that it is possible. Erica will answer that question live. Great. Are there other questions about how we are using Capti at Gettysburg College? Great question about foreign languages. Yes, foreign languages, Capti is fabulous with foreign languages because it doesn't just read foreign languages in English. We teach a lot of different languages at Gettysburg, and students have been very happy with how Capti reads foreign languages, and foreign languages also have some different voice options that you can choose, and it will read the languages with the different language voices as well. How do we know the honor code has helped prevent academic misconduct? That could be a different webinar all in itself. We have had an honor code at Gettysburg College for 50 to 60 years. And the literature that's out there in general explains that honor codes tend to work in terms of preventing academic misconduct. They don't prevent all of it, of course. It gives me a lot of job security, but that would be a completely different webinar, I think. Are there other questions that I could answer? I think some of these other ones I know will be answered by Jean and Erica. Okay, I think the other questions that are coming in are things that Jean and Erica can address, so I will turn it back over to them.
Thank you again. It was a wonderful demo. I will pick up where you left off, and I'll show everybody here how you can use secure browser in Capti and writing and all of these capabilities that that make test administration and proctoring much easier. So I'm going to share the screen again and show you what's new in Capti that we prepared just in time for the testing season. Okay, share the screen. And here I'm logged into a quiz in Canvas that Jen was using in her demo. This one is entered directly in Canvas and students can respond to it right here. So generally we see two different ways to administer exams. One is through a third-party platform such as Canvas, Blackboard, Google Forms, and so on. And the other one is when the professor prepares a PDF or some kind of document that you need to make accessible for students. So I'll show you both of those scenarios. So for the first one, students can use a Capti browser extension for Chrome that essentially makes any web page more accessible. For example, here's the question 1 that I added, and I can customize the way it looks. For example, if a student has dyslexia, Open Dyslexic would help them. If they have vision impairments, they could benefit from higher contrast. And there are other options as well as larger font, and you can just press play and listen to it.
Which of the following is true regarding absolute space and relative space?
If I want to move on to the next question, I'll just select it, press play.
Which is not part of the 5 themes of geography used to frame curriculum in U.S.
And I can pretty much go through the entire quiz like this. And if I want, I can also minimize this whole window, just use it for as a player. So that's one way students can use Capti, and they can actually use it on any website to make it more accessible. The other way is to use Capti Platform. So here I'm logged in to my general collections where I can organize content and use it, for reading for any classes, any subject. I'm going to switch to another browser where I'm logged in as an instructor. Instructor, when you log in, you first see your students. Here I have just one student I'm working with, but generally you'll have lots of tiles here representing different students. So if I want to create an accessible test for my students, I'm going to go to Assignments, create a new assignment, select Test or Quiz, give it a name. I can specify how long it will take. Maybe I'll give students 30 minutes to complete it, provide custom directions, and click Create. So now it's really, really easy for you to set it up and share it with students. First, we're going to go to Content and upload a document that you want to share with students. I'm going to use the same document, but I just want to show you that you can upload documents directly from Canvas and Blackboard or from the file sharing systems. There are also other sources that you can use for other purposes. So a lot of schools are using to deliver accessible materials to students, any accessible materials. So I'm going to go to my local drive and upload the same geography exam. Now, if this document was not accessible, not digitally readable, I can actually OCR it while I'm at it as well. So there's 2 different ways to upload them. I'm going to select the original layout, just so the document looks exactly as it was designed. Click Import. And while it's loading, I can already move on and continue setting it up. So then I select the students that I want to deliver this exam to. And then accommodations that I want to provide them. There's a lot of different options here. For example, I can give this specific student extra time, 1.5 times. And by default, it's a secure browser, but I can remove this. There's lots of different things I can add here. Maybe I will allow all students to use text-to-speech. I will allow them to write on a document. And that's about it. But you can also provide translation, definition support, and the way to modify the visual presentation. Finally, if I want the exam to appear at a certain time, I can set up a schedule when it is available to students and when it's going to be due. That's all. That's all I needed to do to set it up. Now I can go check into my content. Here's that exam loaded. Actually, if I wanted to add some annotations to this, I could write something on top of it, or highlight, for example, that each question is worth 1 point. So when students receive this exam, they will see all of my annotations. All right, done. I'm going to click Assign. And by the way, I could also just click Share and copy a link. I can email students the link to this test if I want to. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to my student account, go to Assignments, and the test is going to appear right here. I click on the test. I get 45 minutes because I got 1.5 times extension. Start the test. Notice that the browser went full screen. And now if I try to exit it and try to access another site, I actually have about 15 seconds to go back, or else the exam will be automatically submitted. And as I'm taking the test, the proctor could be monitoring one or more students here and see how they're doing, actually see in real time what they're doing. As a student, I guess I need to write my name. So I'm just going to right click and say insert a text box. There's my name. I can listen to what I wrote, what I've written. And then if I want to respond to the multiple choice questions, I can just right click and insert a check mark. So here are my answers. I can quickly answer all the multiple choice questions and then submit the test. And I'm done. And now the instructors can log in and they can see all of my answers. So you can either download this exam from Capti in PDF and send it to the instructor, or the instructor can log in into Capti and just go and see all of the students' answers right in the platform. And of course, I did this inside Capti, but I can do the same thing in a Schoology, for example, or Canvas LMS by creating an assignment, selecting Capti, and here I am. I could do the entire thing without ever leaving Canvas. And then when you assign this, the students will be able to see the assignment inside Canvas and go through the same steps. So it's really super easy to use. It takes a minute to set up a test, and then everything is in the platform and is accessible. Students can use text-to-speech and visual modifications as they need. All right, that's it for the demo. We do have a few more slides to wrap up the webinar, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So just to reiterate, Capti allows you to schedule tests, provides you lockdown browser capabilities, provides different modifications and extended time, helps you do remote proctoring because you can monitor students. You can also use Zoom or Google Meets in parallel if you need to monitor students via the camera. And Capti makes it easier to submit and return exams, and it works with LMS, so you can actually also use it to accommodate exams that are set up inside the LMS. So I'm very excited to share some of the things that are coming up in Capti. There was a question about math content and technical content, and it is we're relying on text-to-speech, which occasionally struggles to read complex math and so on. So we're adding capability to create human voiceover. So it'll work just like text-to-speech, but it will work instead of text-to-speech. So if you have a reader who will just provide the narration once, then the students, or one student or multiple students, will be able to just press play and listen and see the highlights as it reads instead of text-to-speech. We're also adding dictation to help students write if they need that type of accommodation, adding pauses so that each question is read separately, and it pauses to let the student process and answer the question. And then also automatic grading is coming up soon. If you want more in Capti, then just drop us a note, and we use your feedback to prioritize the roadmap. So we have all of these different integrations, including Schoology, Canvas, Blackboard, Google Classroom, and more. And I'd like to also acknowledge Department of Education, NSF, NIH, and other agencies that have funded the development of Capti. And we received multiple industry awards, including from EdTech Digest, FCC, MIT, for making reading more accessible. I'm gonna turn it over to Erica.
Hi guys. Gina, I'm gonna ask you to put the slides up. The slides aren't up.
Yep, it's sharing.
It is sharing?
Yes.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Erica. I'm the Director of Sales here at Capti Voice. I've seen a few of your questions come through, and I know some of you are looking for pricing. Before we go to our pricing slide, I'll just go through some of our partners because I can't see the slides. Some of our big higher education partners are obviously what you can see on the screen: Cornell, Gettysburg, Utah State, Wesleyan University, and University of Virginia. I'm not going to go through them all. Yeah, Gina, I don't think anybody's seeing any of the slides. I'm seeing some chat come in.
Yeah, there's no one sharing the screen.
Yeah. We'll give Gina a minute to put the slides back up.
My apologies. Looks like I was going through the last few slides without sharing them.
Correct. Tried to text you. Here we go. Now I think we can see it. It's probably a little better than listening to my voice. I can see it too. So here's some of our partners that we just went through, and we will go through on to the next slide for our special offers. So we run specials for the students, and obviously the more students you have, the cheaper Capti will be. Also, seeing as it is December, which is crazy to think that it's already December, but 2020 is almost over. Here's some of our special pricing, either through June 30th, 2021 or June 30th, 2022. So essentially you get a year and a half for those prices. And you can reach out to me if you are looking for a quote for anything more student-wise. All right, next slide. So what we've been told is that obviously we were talking a lot about student retention and gap years. The average tuition for in-state is $11,500. Your average Capti pricing for 100 students is $1,500. So if you just retain one student from using Capti Voice, you're saving your university $10,000, which some people like to see. And we are giving away an Amazon gift card too. So I think Brian was sending it to me. So give him just a minute to have it pop up.
Drum roll.
Yeah, right. Drum roll, please. Olivia Rodriguez, if you could actually put your email address in the question and answer or in the chat, we can pull that and we will send you a $25 Amazon gift card. Thank you all for joining us today. And thank you to Jennifer. She was a whirlwind of information. And go ahead, Jean.
We're ready to move on to the question and answering session. If you would like to ask your question in Q&A, or you can raise your hand. We'll be happy to answer questions. Please direct your questions to Jennifer as well if you have more. I'm going to stop sharing the screen because apparently I can't access the Q&A while I'm sharing.
It looks like one of the anonymous attendees asked, our biggest challenge has been that we don't have enough staffing power to proctor students individually remotely. How are small offices accommodating a large number of students? I'm going to let maybe Jen answer that one. Jen, you want to answer? Because I can't speak to that.
Sure. I may not be the best person to speak to this either because our honor code does not endorse proctoring. So,
Oh, yes.
yeah, it's not something that I can really speak to.
Yeah, we see a lot of schools going to open book exams because they can't afford to proctor students individually. But some schools are using these student helpers, some volunteers or students who are just working part-time. Another question is, if professors make the exam and then import it into Capti, Capti will read the exam, but can students answer questions digitally, or how can they answer in Capti? So when the exam is uploaded, students can either type in their answers, or they can respond to multiple choice questions by just adding check marks to a document. So it's not going to automatically grade the exam, but it gives students all of the accessibility options, text to speech, and whatever else you allow. Maybe you allow translation. Students can translate from English to Spanish and then listen to it in Spanish. And then the professors can look at the exam and see the answers, or you can export this exam and then deliver it to the professors as a PDF.
That's the nice thing, I think, is that, and I know on my campus, we have such a range of faculty with different technical capabilities and interests and things like that. And some people make these beautiful exams with all kinds of different settings in our LMS, and that's wonderful. And some are really good at using Microsoft Word and creating exams in Microsoft Word. And so the flexibility that Capti allows for all of those different types of exams is really useful for us.
Yes, and Capti supports all kind of formats. So if, as Jen said, if a professor creates an exam in Word or a PDF or an RTF and whatever other format they can think of, Capti is probably going to support it. So you can upload any content, deliver it to students. They can respond right there in Capti. Or some schools are still using paper, and they can just students can respond on paper and listen to the text. I think that's how you're using it right now, right, Jen?
Yes.
Can students dictate their responses? So thank you for asking that. This capability is coming in about 2 months. So students will be able to insert a text box in any document and just dictate their answer, dictate an essay if they need to. Another question is, if an exam is in Canvas is set up with a proctorial, can Capti be used in Canvas instead of proctorial? So I'm not 100% sure what students can do in proctorial, but if you set up an exam in Canvas, then you can use the Capti browser extension to listen to the screen, like right inside Canvas, without ever leaving Canvas. That alternative again is to create upload a document into Capti and then create an assignment via Canvas. So students will go to Canvas, see the test, see the assignment, click on it, and then Capti pops up. They're automatically logged in, and they can respond to the answers to the exam. Next question. Faculty create open book, open notes exam, but still want DSS to proctor exam, so students are not on the internet. Does Capti have the functionality to see the student's screen or provide a lockdown environment where students can access notes, but not the internet? So Capti is a web platform. It does not require installation, but unfortunately it means that it needs internet connection. However, if you set up an exam inside Capti, you can set up lockdown browser right in Capti. And then students will not be able to go and do anything else. They can't access any websites. And they basically have, if they try to exit our full screen mode, they have 15 seconds or to go back, or the exam will automatically be submitted. If the test needs Capti for OCR, how does it work with various screen readers? the OCR is optical character recognition. So if you scan in a document, you upload it into Capti, Capti will automatically OCR it for them. So it becomes digitally accessible. And then the other question, I guess, is the screen readers. Yes, it's two questions in one. So Capti is accessible with NVDA and with JAWS screen reader as well. It was actually initially created for students with vision impairment. So that's why it has a lot of different supports like magnification, fonts, and it also supports lots of keyboard shortcuts as well, which helps students with mobility impairments and students who are blind. Yep, and generally, Capti supports that provides so many supports that you don't need other software. Another question: if we ever go back on campus, can we create a general login password to log students into the computers in our testing center? Or would they log into their individual accounts? We currently use Kurzweil, and we scan the exams onto a flash drive or use the scanners in the testing room to upload the exams. So Capti will definitely simplify this process for you. We really recommend that each student has their own login and password, because you can then set up the accommodations for students once and for all. And then students will automatically get access to Capti, for all the other needs. So Capti is an all-in-one solution that helps proctor and accommodate exams, and also helps students be more productive in their classes. For example, it integrates with Canvas or other LMSs, so you can just, if the professor shares any kind of reading materials with students, a book, papers, students can import them into Capti in seconds and then read and listen to them and use other accommodations that we provide. And then when they're already familiar with Capti, they come to the exam and there's no added anxiety that now they need to learn to use another software. Because they will already have all of their accommodations set up. If they need open dyslexic font because of dyslexia, they will already have it set up for themselves. They come to the exam and they can use all of their modifications they already have. And then in terms of scanning exams, so if you scan a document just on your scanner, or if you have a digital document, you can, when you upload to Capti, it OCRs it, so it becomes digitally accessible, and it's super easy to deliver it to students. So there's no need to use USB or flash drives. It will just be available inside Capti. I hope that answers the question. If you have any more questions for Jennifer as well, also don't hesitate to ask them. All right, I think we ran out of questions. Thank you all very much for joining us for this webinar. Thank you, Jen.
My pleasure, and I welcome questions from folks. If you'd like to email me privately, don't hesitate.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Kim.
Hi, everyone. This is Kim again. I would like to thank you all for joining us today for this vendor-sponsored webinar by Capti Voice. Thank you, Jean and Erica, for their presentation, and for Jennifer providing some real-life experience, which I'm sure you all found to be very valuable, and to Brian for managing the Q&A. And of course, a thank you to our captioner, Annabelle. If you would like to save the chat, if you go to where you would actually type in the chat, you'll see in the upper right corner, there's a little box with 3 dots. If you click on the 3 dots, the first option is to save chat, and it will automatically save to your computer. So this way you can have Jean and Erica's contact information. And with that, I guess we will say so long. Oh, just a reminder, Jean's email is in the chat, so you can either request directly from Jean a copy of his presentation, as well as a link to the this recording. And we will also have this posted on the AHEAD website on the same web page where you found the link to join us today.
Yeah, and if you want
with that, I will say thanks again for joining us and stay safe.
Thank you.